They hand you a cup of poison, and you drink it every time, not with your lips but with your spirit. Their words are the venom, your anger the vessel. You believe you are fighting back, but you are merely consuming the chaos they prepared for you. But what if you could simply refuse the cup? What if your stillness could become the very thing that breaks them? This is not passivity. This is the ultimate form of war. This is the landscape of the common man, the predictable battlefield of daily life. A challenge is issued, an insulting email, a condescending remark in a meeting, a passive-aggressive comment from a rival. The response is immediate, a biological imperative. The heart beats faster. The mind races, formulating defenses, counterattacks, justifications. You feel a burning need to correct the injustice, to defend your honor, to prove them wrong. This reaction feels like strength. It feels like action. But it is in fact the most profound form of weakness. It is a puppet dancing precisely as the puppeteer commands. The provocateur sought a reaction, and you provided it. They created a fire, and you willingly offered yourself as the fuel. In this exchange, you have not only lost your peace, you have surrendered your power. You have stepped onto their chosen ground to fight a battle by their rules, with weapons they selected. Your emotional response is the signal they were waiting for. It confirms your engagement, your investment, and ultimately, your vulnerability. You have shown them your cards. You have revealed the blueprint to your own mind, highlighting the precise levers that can be pulled to move you. Sun Tzu wrote, "He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious." By reacting, you do the opposite. You abandon prudence. You rush out of your fortress, exposed and emotional, to meet an enemy who is patiently waiting for that exact mistake. This is the strategy of the amateur, the path of guaranteed exhaustion and defeat. The majority of people live their entire lives in this reactive state, believing their emotional outbursts are a show of force when they are truly a confession of powerlessness. They are forever caught in storms created by others, wondering why they can never find calm waters. They do not understand that they are not merely in the storm, they are the storm's energy source. Their indignation, their frustration, their desperate need to be understood, it is all oxygen to a fire that would otherwise extinguish itself. This is the conventional way, the path of the herd. It is a noisy, chaotic, and utterly draining existence. It is the antithesis of power. The master strategist, a student of the timeless principles of Sun Tzu, understands a truth that is hidden from the masses. True power is not found in the chaotic clash of force against force. It is found in the deliberate, calculated control of the environment itself. The supreme art of war, as Sun Tzu taught, is to subdue the enemy without ever fighting. And the first enemy to be subdued is always within, the impulse to react. Where the common man sees an insult and feels the sting of anger, the strategist sees a probe, a test. The enemy is extending a line, hoping you will grab hold. The moment you do, they control you. The strategist therefore does not grab. He does not even flinch. He observes. He creates a void where a reaction is expected. This is the principle of the energy vacuum. Your calmness is not an absence of action. It is the most decisive action you can take. It is the strategic removal of the very element the conflict requires to exist. Your participation. Imagine an opponent charging towards you with a sword. The reactive person raises their own sword, and a brutal, unpredictable fight ensues. The strategist, however, simply takes one step to the side. The opponent, propelled by his own momentum and expecting resistance, finds nothing but empty air. He stumbles, his balance lost, his energy wasted, his back now exposed. Your calmness is that single, effortless step to the side. It allows the aggressor's own force to become his undoing. Their chaos, expecting to collide with your own, instead collapses into the vacuum you have presented. This is a profound shift in understanding. You are not a passive victim enduring an attack. You are an immovable object, a deep ocean whose surface may be stirred by a passing wind, but whose depths remain utterly undisturbed. The enemy's panic begins when they realize their emotional attacks have no effect. Their provocations disappear into your stillness. Their carefully crafted insults dissolve without a trace. They are shouting into a void, and the only echo they hear is the sound of their own desperation. They are left alone with their own chaos, forced to confront the ugliness of their own strategy, which is now laid bare for all to see. They expected a war, but you offered them a mirror. And in that mirror, they see not a worthy adversary but a reflection of their own desperate and flailing weakness. This is the moment their control shatters. This is the moment their chaos truly begins. It is a chaos born not from your actions, but from your profound strategic inaction. You have won the battle not by fighting, but by refusing to acknowledge that a battle was ever worthy of your energy. You have preserved your power, your clarity, and your honor, all while your opponent dismantles himself. This is more than defense. It is the first move in a silent offensive, for your tranquility, when mastered, ceases to be a shield and becomes a mirror, reflecting their chaos back to its source. Comment, I control the terrain to master this principle, and subscribe for the coming lessons in the art of invisible warfare. To master the art of invisible warfare is to understand that the most decisive battles are won not on the physical plane, but in the silent, vast expanse of the human mind. The mirror you present with your tranquility does more than just reflect. It dismantles. An adversary who approaches you expects to find solid ground, a predictable emotional landscape of anger, fear, or pride upon which they can wage their campaign. When they find nothing but a serene void, they are not merely disarmed, they are psychologically unmoored. They have prepared for a wrestling match, only to find themselves grappling with the wind. This is where the true lesson begins. You must now learn the principles that govern this ethereal battlefield, the doctrines that allow a strategist to command the fates without ever drawing a sword. These are the pillars of a power so subtle, it is felt before it is seen. The first and most profound of these principles is what Sun Tzu called formlessness. He wrote, "The ultimate in military deployment is to have no discernible shape." This is a concept that eludes the grasp of the common mind, which equates power with presence, with a loud voice and a heavy fist. But the strategist knows that which has a form can be measured, that which can be measured can be studied, and that which can be studied can be defeated. A mountain, for all its might, can be mapped and its paths exploited. A fortress, for all its strength, has walls that can be besieged and gates that can be breached. Your adversary comes to you with a mind full of maps and siege engines, expecting to find your fortress. He is looking for the shape of your anger, the predictable contours of your ego, the solid walls of your ideology. Instead, you must become like water. Water has no single shape, yet it can overcome any obstacle. It can be gentle enough to cleanse, yet powerful enough to crush mountains. It yields to any pressure, yet it cannot be broken. When they strike at you, their blow must pass through you as if through a mist, finding no resistance and therefore having no effect. Your refusal to take a rigid emotional form is what short-circuits their entire tactical process. The provocateur operates like a keymaker, carefully crafting insults and slights designed to fit the specific locks of your insecurities. When you present no lock, their key is useless. Their efforts become absurd. Their frustration mounts with each failed attempt to define you, to categorize you, to gain a foothold on your psyche. This is the source of their escalating chaos. They are fighting a ghost. Their intellect, so confident in its ability to predict and manipulate human reaction, is now faced with a variable it cannot compute. This cognitive dissonance is a powerful acid, dissolving their composure from the inside out. They may escalate, becoming louder, more aggressive, more desperate, but they are no longer fighting you. They are fighting the maddening reality that you are illegible, that you operate on a plane they cannot access. You become a living paradox, present yet absent, yielding yet unconquerable. You are the director of their fate, precisely because you have refused to give their fate a target to aim for. Building upon this formlessness is the mastery of terrain and knowledge. Sun Tzu was explicit. The skillful commander takes up a position which he cannot lose. This position is not always on high ground in a physical sense. In psychological warfare, it is the control of the narrative frame, the very reality in which the interaction takes place. Every conversation, every conflict exists within a frame. The aggressor's entire strategy is to pull you violently into their frame. Their frame is a world of crisis, of drama, of personal insult, of urgent response. It is a theatrical production, and they have cast you in the role of the outraged victim or the defensive adversary. The moment you react emotionally, you accept your role and begin reading their script. The master strategist never enters the opponent's frame. Instead, he imposes his own. Your frame is one of unwavering calm, of objective observation, of immense patience. It is a reality where their urgency appears childish and their aggression seems vulgar. Imagine their frame as a small chaotic storm in a teacup. Your frame is the vast silent desert that surrounds it. You do not fight the storm. You simply provide so much empty, stable space that its energy dissipates into nothingness. This creates an immense gravitational pull. A strong, stable frame will always absorb a weak, chaotic one. They find, to their utter bewilderment, that their emotional outbursts are not having the intended effect. They are no longer the director of the scene. They are a minor character acting erratically in your much larger, more stable production. From this superior terrain, you gain the ultimate advantage, knowledge. Sun Tzu's most famous edict, "Know the enemy and know yourself," is impossible to fulfill when you are blinded by the fog of your own emotional reaction. But from the serene, high ground of your own frame, your perception becomes extraordinarily clear. You are no longer the target of the attack. You are a scientist observing a phenomenon. You see their tactics not as personal affronts, but as data. You note the insecurity behind the arrogance, the fear that fuels the rage, the desperation that informs the strategy. You see the strings they are pulling, and more importantly, you see the puppeteer's own vulnerabilities. This clarity, this elevated knowledge, is the greatest power of all. It allows you to see the battle from its end, to understand that their frantic maneuvers are simply the death throes of a failing strategy. While they are lost in the mud and blood of their self-created turmoil, you are on the hill, watching, waiting, and knowing that the outcome was decided before the first shot was ever fired. Your calmness is not passivity. It is the ultimate state of strategic readiness. In a boardroom, when a rival attempts to unnerve you with pointed questions before a crucial decision, your deliberate silence before answering does not signal uncertainty. It commands the attention of the room, making their aggression appear crude and impatient. Your calm, measured response delivered from this stable frame doesn't just answer the question, it subtly recontextualizes their attack as a sign of their own desperation, solidifying your position as the voice of reason and control. The victory is silent, total, and devastating. You have learned to become formless, to control the terrain of reality itself. But these external strategies are mere reflections of a far more profound and difficult conquest, the mastery over the landscape of your own soul. Before you can command the chaos in others, you must first silence the mutiny within yourself. The greatest fortress you will ever defend is not made of stone, but of spirit. And the most dangerous enemy you will ever face is the legion of your own untamed impulses. This is the ultimate crucible of the master tactician, for the first and most decisive victory is always, and without exception, the one won over the self. Every external triumph is born from this internal silence. The theater of this inner war is fought against the primal tyrants of the human condition: rage, pride, impatience, and fear. The average individual is a slave to these forces, believing their emotional surges are authentic expressions of their being. They feel anger and call it a righteous fire. They feel pride and call it self-respect. They feel impatience and call it ambition. The student of strategy understands these for what they truly are: vulnerabilities. They are fissures in the fortress wall through which the enemy can pour. To engage in a conflict while in the grip of anger is to hand the opponent the steering wheel of your own chariot. Your actions become predictable, your tactics crude, your focus narrowed to the point of blindness. Sun Tzu warned, "A commander who is unable to control his temper and sends his troops to swarm a wall like ants, with 1/3 of them being killed and the city still not taken, this is a disastrous attack." Your temper is that disastrous commander. It sacrifices long-term victory for the fleeting gratification of a reckless charge. The path to dominion, therefore, is not the suppression of these emotions, a futile and exhausting endeavor, but their disciplined observation. The master tactician develops an inner eye, a dispassionate witness that stands apart from the emotional storm. When rage arises, this witness does not identify with it. It interrogates it. What strategic boundary has been tested? What insecurity has been triggered? The emotion is reduced from a commanding general to a mere scout, offering raw intelligence that can be calmly analyzed and then acted upon or dismissed. This is the attainment of emotional sovereignty. It is a state of profound inner quietude, where your decisions are forged in the cool, clear light of reason, not in the distorting heat of passion. You become a deep-sea diver, moving with deliberate grace under pressures that would crush a lesser vessel. The turmoil of the surface, the insults, the provocations, cannot touch you in these silent depths. This internal stability is the source of all external power. It is the unshakable foundation upon which the entire edifice of your strategy is built. Once this inner kingdom is pacified and brought under a single unified command, you can begin to deliberately shape how you are perceived on the external battlefield. This is not a matter of vanity or a desire to be liked. It is the sophisticated application of deception, the art of making your appearance a weapon. Sun Tzu's doctrine, appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak, becomes your guiding principle. Your imperturbability is the ultimate mask. To the aggressive and arrogant opponent, your persistent calm can be perceived as weakness, passivity, or fear. This is an outcome you should not only permit, but actively encourage. An enemy who underestimates you is an enemy who grows careless. He will overextend his lines, expose his flanks, and reveal his deepest intentions, all while believing he is on the verge of victory. Your tranquility is the bait in a masterfully set trap. You allow him to exhaust his energy, to display his full arsenal of tricks, all while you are silently gathering intelligence, calculating the precise moment of his self-inflicted collapse. Conversely, this same serenity can project an aura of immense, almost terrifying strength. In a moment of high crisis, when everyone else is succumbing to panic, your unnatural stillness becomes a focal point of power. It is profoundly unsettling to those who rely on emotional chaos to fuel their own sense of control. Without uttering a word, you communicate that you are operating on a different level, that you see things they do not, that you are not subject to the same psychological laws that govern them. Your silence becomes louder than their screams. This duality is your greatest asset. You are no longer a transparent being whose every thought and feeling is broadcast for the world to see. You become a black box, an enigma. They can measure your actions, but they can never be certain of your intentions. This unpredictability paralyzes them, forcing them into a state of hesitation and self-doubt. You have taken their ability to read the battlefield away from them, leaving them blind and adrift in a sea of uncertainty which you command. From this mastery of self and perception, you begin the final phase of this psychological construction, the forging of a reputation. A reputation is not what you claim to be, but what others whisper about you when you are not in the room. Every interaction where you meet aggression with composure, every crisis where you demonstrate clarity amidst panic, is a stone laid in the foundation of this invisible monument. Over time, this reputation solidifies and begins to move ahead of you. It becomes a shadow that enters a room before you do, preconditioning the interaction before it even begins. This is a form of passive, effortless control. Potential adversaries will hesitate, remembering stories of how others tried and failed to rattle you. They will second-guess their strategies, wondering what unseen trap you might be laying. The wolf does not need to bark to be respected. Its mere presence, its silent passage through the forest, is enough to establish its dominion. Your reputation is the silent weight of that presence. It becomes a self-sustaining deterrent. You find that you are challenged less frequently, that conflicts often resolve themselves before they can escalate, because your legend has done the fighting for you. This is the ultimate expression of Sun Tzu's ideal, to subdue the enemy without a fight. Your reputation becomes a gravitational field, subtly bending the behavior of those around you, compelling them toward caution and deference. The peace you achieve is not the fragile truce of a ceasefire, but the enduring stability of undisputed authority. You have not simply won a series of battles, you have altered the very climate of your world, making it one in which open conflict against you is seen as a strategic impossibility. You have learned to observe, to become formless, and to conquer the treacherous kingdom of the self. You have built a fortress of serenity and a reputation that fights your battles for you. Now, before we unveil how your profound peace becomes your final decisive weapon, ensure you are subscribed and have activated the notification bell. The ultimate wisdom of absolute victory is reserved only for the dedicated student, for the one who prepares for the end before the beginning is even announced. What comes next is not an act of aggression, but the final, inevitable conclusion to a war that you won the moment you refused to fight. The moment of the decisive stroke is not one of passion or fury. It is a moment of absolute surgical clarity. It is the culmination of all your patience, all your observation, all your unwavering self-control. Sun Tzu teaches, "The quality of the decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim." Notice the language. The falcon does not struggle. It does not engage in a lengthy battle. It waits, circling high above, conserving its energy, its gaze fixed, seeing everything. It waits for the one moment of perfect vulnerability. This is your model. While your adversary has been flailing, shouting into the void you have presented, they have been expending enormous amounts of energy. Their emotional reserves are depleted. Their intellectual capacity is clouded by frustration. Their strategy is in tatters. They have become exhausted, overextended, and psychologically exposed. They are now at their weakest, precisely because you have remained at your strongest. Your moment to act has arrived. But the strike is never what they expect. It is not a counter-insult, a raised voice, or a dramatic confrontation. It is a gesture of sublime and devastating economy. It might be a single, calmly delivered question that pierces the heart of their insecurity. Why does my opinion hold so much power over you? It could be a period of deliberate, unbroken silence after their most venomous tirade, a silence that acts as a vast, empty stage, forcing them to behold the ugliness of their own performance. Or, most powerfully, it might be the simple, quiet act of turning your back and walking away, an act that communicates with crushing finality that their entire existence has been deemed unworthy of your time and energy. This is not retreat. It is the declaration of ultimate victory. It is the falcon's swoop. The strike is so potent because it is not an attack on them, but a final, irrevocable withdrawal of the psychological reality they were trying to create. You are not destroying their argument. You are dissolving the entire battlefield. The chaos that follows within them is an implosion. Their entire sense of self, which was propped up by the conflict they initiated, collapses inward now that its foundation, your engagement, has been removed. They are left alone in the rubble, defeated not by your strength but by the weight of their own futile aggression. Following this decisive moment, the true work of the master strategist begins. This is the phase of consolidation, the aftermath where a temporary victory is transformed into a permanent state of peace. The common victor celebrates. He gloats, he boasts, he replays the moment of his enemy's fall. This is the mark of an amateur, one who is still emotionally invested in the conflict. The true master does not celebrate, he simply observes. He watches the consequences of his strategic inaction unfold with the dispassionate interest of a chess master watching a checkmate sequence play out. The goal was never the fleeting thrill of dominance, but the establishment of a new, enduring reality architected on his terms. The chaos you have witnessed in your opponent was not the objective, but a diagnostic tool. It revealed their nature, their weaknesses, their limits. Now, in the aftermath, your continued serenity cements your new position in the psychological landscape. The ripples of your victory spread outward. Those who witness the encounter, or who hear of it, learn a powerful lesson. Engaging you in emotional conflict is a self-destructive act. This is how you create an enduring peace. It is not a peace born from treaties or truces, which are inherently fragile. It is a peace born from dissuasion, from a reputation so formidable that it extinguishes the very idea of conflict before it can be kindled. You become known as a territory where aggression goes to die. You have not merely won a battle, you have fundamentally altered the terrain for all future engagements. Future challengers will be deterred, not by fear of what you will do to them, but by the unsettling prospect of what they will do to themselves in your presence. The new reality is one where your energy is protected, your focus is unbroken, and your path is clear of the petty entanglements that drain the life force of ordinary people. You do not rest on your laurels, you simply continue on your path, unburdened, your tranquility now a permanent and impenetrable shield. We arrive then at the final philosophical conclusion. The ultimate power move taught by the ancient strategists is not a tactic to be deployed against others. It is the profound internal achievement of absolute emotional sovereignty. You sought not to create chaos in them, but to achieve an unbreachable peace within yourself. The chaos that erupted in your adversary was merely a byproduct, a reflection of their own inner poverty exposed by the light of your inner wealth. The supreme power is not the ability to bend others to your will. It is the ability to shape your own reality to such a degree that the will of others becomes irrelevant. It is the construction of an inner citadel so magnificent and self-contained that the squabbles of the world outside its walls fade into insignificance. You have not simply won a game, you have transcended the need to play it. This is the throne that no one dares to approach, not because of the fearsome guards that surround it, but because its occupant radiates a completeness, a serenity that makes the very concept of usurpation seem absurd. The true victory is not being the king of the hill, but being the mountain itself, indifferent to the winds that blow against it. Its peace derived not from the absence of storms, but from its own unshakable, eternal substance.